BG Blueprint podcast, where we dive into real stories, real experiences, and real conversations that matter. My name is Agnes from Misisi Compound, Lusaka, Zambia. Today I bring to you another powerful discussion. Before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge that our guests have given full consent to be filmed and to take pictures as we interview them. We therefore would like to appreciate our guests for their willingness to share their stories with us and with the audience.
Hello and welcome to the BG Blueprint podcast. Happy Wednesday from wherever you are tuning in. I am your host, BG, and always remember to be polite and kind to everyone you meet. You never know the battles they're facing. Today's episode takes us into the heart of Misisi Compound in Lusaka, Zambia, where we meet Eneless Mwale, a devoted and strong mother raising two beautiful girls. Grace Banda, her 15-year-old biological daughter, and Mwada, her 17-year-old niece, whom she has raised as her own daughter. This is a story of deep love, sacrifice, and strength it takes to care for children with complex needs. As I share their journey, you will see some pictures and videos taken on ground by Agnes with full consent from the family.
I interview the first family that we have, the mother to the two children that are living with disabilities.
Eneless Mwale, Grace Banda, and Mwada
Okay. So mngatuzeko vinga kuri gamu mngatuzeko pari Grace and like mamena alivi.
Okay, ni mwana wanga novutikira kugenda saenda na winango sali bwino most of what is no wino tinisebenza ngala chabe kulibeko menye ninga ende kuli mwana kai saenda solo mapisi we Kristo pe kwashira abantu tinatanzira mu bantu.
Okay. So she says her name is Eneless Mwale, and the child you're seeing here is Grace Banda, one of the child living with disabilities, physical disabilities to be precise. So she says where she is, she cannot do anything, she cannot even do any work because she has no one to leave this child with.
This is Grace Banda. She's a sweet and creative 15-year-old girl, born with a developmental disability. During the interview, her mother, Eneless, shared that her pregnancy was just fine, and when she went into labor, she delivered Grace at home with the help of her older sister. And right away after birth, they noticed that Grace's foot was twisted inward, and one of the thumbs in her hand looked like it hadn't developed properly. So right away, they rushed her to the hospital, and both mother and baby were admitted. Eneless said that they stayed in the hospital for about 4 months while doctors were trying to figure out what was going on, and eventually they were told to return when Grace was a little older and her bones were stronger for surgery. So Grace was older, stronger, and then her mom took her back and they performed this first surgery. We'll talk about that one later. And after that, they sent her back home so she could heal before coming back to perform the second surgery after a couple of months. So when she came back for the second surgery, they found out that her stitches didn't hold well and her foot was still turned inwards. So they referred her to Ep.2 hospital to explore other treatments or options. These included using a wheelchair, crutches, or leg braces. So while they were at Ep.2, they stayed there for a minute, but nothing improved. There was no real change. So eventually they sent them back home, and Grace would feel some pain. She would feel some pain, so they would send her back, and all they could treat was the pain, nothing really to fix the situation of her leg that was twisted inward. So eventually they just decided to stop going. And Grace, she did her best to live her normal life. And over time, she started leaning more towards her stronger leg, and that same leg eventually started getting deformed somewhat from carrying her weight. So Grace has handmade crutches that she uses, and they do sometimes hurt her underarms. when she uses them. So most of the time she crawls using her hands and her legs, and she gets tired easily. When it comes to chores, she can wash dishes with some support, but the thumb, um, which might have been affected probably by constriction ring syndrome. I'm not a doctor, and this is based on what I've seen and learned and from similar stories. So the thumb that looks like it was maybe affected by constriction ring syndrome limits her grip. And constriction ring syndrome happens when bands of tissue wrap around parts of the baby's body in the womb, affecting how it grows. So I'm assuming maybe that was the situation with her. So Grace is full of joy and she has friends, most of who are not around her age. They're mostly younger, but they love her energy. She's a very happy girl. She's also very talented with arts and crafts. She makes creative items using grass, plastic bags, and even chip packets. So Grace also can move around like short distances around the house, and she can also move to the store and back. So, what do we think Grace's diagnosis was? Her mother hasn't explained what she was told Grace had, but again, I'm not a doctor, and this is based on what I've seen and learned from similar stories. Grace looks like maybe she had clubfoot, and from the explanation, coming back to the surgeries that she had earlier, the first surgery that Grace had, I think, is the anterior tibial tendon transfer. And this is a surgery that moves a tendon in the leg to help the foot point in the right direction. And afterwards, I think the second surgery she might have had was the osteotomy. And this is where doctors cut and adjust the bone to fix how it's shaped. So now we might be wondering, what is clubfoot? Clubfoot is a condition where a baby's foot is turned inward or downward. It can happen in one or both feet. The exact cause isn't always known, but it can sometimes run in families or be linked to other conditions. The good news is it can often be treated, especially when caught early. Treatment options include stretching, casting, or surgery, and support after treatment is just as important, like proper follow ups, braces, and therapy to help the child walk and grow comfortably. In Grace's case, we can see that this was identified early on, but not sure if there wasn't too much knowledge on what it was, so surgery was unsuccessful.
So ni ma challenges bwanja na mapitamo Mwada.
nyovuta akafuna mwene wake kuvimenya nkhala wovimba so ngati usulipo peza zitundira kutamanzi kumenya mzake so inkhale yokosa ngati waindosakira kuti usakirapo so ifunika make sure kuti panyumba.
Okay, so when asked about the challenges Mwada's been facing, she says Mwada sometimes loses herself. So you find that sometimes she'll start beating up herself, sometimes she'll just urinate on herself, and then on some occasions she'll start beating the sister who's physically challenged. So she says it has been a challenge for her where she cannot move, she cannot go to faraway places, whereby she has to be close to these children so that she takes control of the situation. Okay. So, muma mwishabanja understand since mwendi mwa maila kimanikala
naye. Understand yani mamzi nimuziva nikaona yamba kumugwira wangala naye wamnyengerera paja ama mvera azankala zi.
Ndangu. Okay. So on understanding her mental issue situations, she said, I'm her mother, so it is very much possible for me to take care of her. So whenever she starts behaving such situation, I would sit with her to calm her down and make sure that she stops whatever she's doing. Okay. So maybe it's when mnashita discover kuti Mwada dina problem.
Akula nayo.
Lazima kuti ana problem.
Ziva, ninaziva ni ana 4 years kuti sali bwino.
Sign bonje zena kunamza mtizira.
Saini chanezo zivira kuzichaya pamene kuja ndichana bwana zivira kuti usali bwino.
Okay, so she said she first noticed that Mwada had a problem by the time Mwada was 4 years old. So when asked how she found out that Mwada had a mental issue problem, she said she would notice that most of the times when Mwada is sitting alone, she'll start beating herself, doing all sorts of behaviors that are not normal.
This is Mwada Piri. Mwada is 17 years old and Eneless's niece, but she's been raised like her own daughter. Eneless shared that her biological mother drank and smoked heavily during pregnancy. When Mwada was born, she seemed okay at first. She would cry just like any other normal baby. But then she started crying to a point where she became inconsolable. And as she grew, her behaviors became more concerning. She would repeat everything someone said instead of answering. She would also hit herself, break things, and become violent. Her mother often would leave her alone while she went out drinking, and at some point, Enela stepped in and took her food time because she noticed how unsafe it was for her to be left home alone. So at the time that she took her, NLS used to work more hours when she used to do like odd jobs or part-time jobs. So when she took her in, her sister, who's Mwada's biological mother, would come and help babysit the girls, both Mwada and Grace. But then one time when NLS got home, she noticed that the girls were dirty and Mwada's mother was mocking her, calling her dirty, calling her mad. So this pushed NLS to stop working so she could care for both girls full time. Mwada still gets aggressive at times and has hit Grace before, leaving her no chance to escape. So NLS always tries to stay nearby to keep an eye on things. Despite her challenges, Mwada is very clean. She loves to wash dishes and has a sharp memory. If you say something near her, even in another language, she can repeat it later. But if you ask her a question, she won't respond in a way that makes sense. Her condition has never been officially diagnosed, or NLS didn't share what the diagnosis was, but based on the story, I believe it may fall under something called fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. Again, this is just my observation based on experience, not professional diagnosis. So what's our takeaway from this? Fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, also called FASDs, happen when a baby is exposed to alcohol during pregnancy. It can affect the brain, body, and behavior. Common signs include trouble focusing or learning, memory issues, poor coordination, trouble with emotion or behavior, delays in speech and understanding. It is important to know that there is no safe amount of alcohol during pregnancy. Avoid alcohol completely is the best way to prevent FASDs. Support and therapy can help children manage better, but early diagnosis makes a huge difference. Eneless is doing everything she can to give her girls a safe and happy life. She works small jobs when she can, cleans a shared toilet to make sure Grace can safely crawl if needed, and tries to give special moments like new clothes or fast food treats. Her story is a reminder that love, dedication, and support can go a long way, especially when the system falls short. Let's take a moment to reflect. Are we offering kindness to those around us? Are we supporting parents and caregivers the way they deserve? Are we doing our part to raise awareness about preventable conditions like FASDs? Thank you for tuning in today. Every child is a different kind of flower, and all together they make this world a beautiful garden. Until next Wednesday, stay safe and keep the kindness going.